There are people out there right now who are starting businesses.
Absolutely.
We know exactly what that feels like.
You're right in front of them, so it's like having a billboard that you're actually putting right in front of somebody's face.
When you're considering adding corporate apparel to your brand, these are some things that you should consider.
A lot of website companies, they build it and then they have the ownership of it, and then you don't. You want to own your website.
Hey guys, welcome to the Marketing Compass Podcast, your guide through the dynamic world of marketing advertising. I'm Nick Prentice, and I'm just thrilled you're here today to join us on this marketing journey. I'm here with Genevieve Stoll. She's our lead website designer. And Jen, why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are and why you're here?
Yeah, I'm Genevieve Stoll. I've worked at Blue River Digital for 4.5 years now. And I've been in the marketing world for a long time. It's exciting to be in the marketing world in a way that I'm bringing life to companies and able to design sort of the heart and the brand of their message into a website. I have a wonderful husband and two kiddos, a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old.
He's a pretty good guy.
Boy and girl, yeah. Yep, so that's me.
Cool. By the way, I saw his video he posted over the holidays of his office getting wrapped.
Yes.
Somebody spent a lot of time on that.
Yes, he is. He oversees like 20 college students for his position, and they apparently like him because they did spend a lot of time wrapping every single thing in his office.
The golf clubs were impressive.
The golf clubs, the phone, his mug. There was a sticky note that he had on his wall that they cut out a little square for. And yeah, 'tis the season for some wrapping fun.
I guess. And they're good wrappers. I need to look them up next year to wrap my presents.
That's right.
So I'm excited to chat with you today, Jen, just about websites in general. So as you know, our podcast is designed to kind of help folks that are in different phases of marketing and advertising to kind of give them some pointers on what to think about, how to prepare for this stage of marketing in their strategy. So websites obviously is a very important component of any business's marketing strategy. I believe that everyone should have a website. I think there's some debate about that, and some people will question whether they really need one or not. But definitely in today's day and age, it is a requirement. You really do need to have one. So when the phone rings and they call in here, or maybe a better question would be, just when you're a business considering planning for your website, what are they asking for when they say, "Hey, I need to build a website," or "I'm ready to build a website"? What goes into that process?
Yeah, I mean, so part of my job that I love is that, they're all different. The needs are all different, and really figuring out what those needs are is the first step. So listening first. Some people know exactly what they want. They have it all mapped out. They know what pages they want. Yeah. They know what their focus is and their keys are, who their customers are. There's so many things to think through. And other people come to us and really have not thought about it at all, and really haven't even really fully developed their business. So there's sort of a wide range of needs, and gives us the opportunity to sort of sit down and map it out and say, okay, who are you targeting? Who do you want to market to? What information do you need to get across when someone finds you? Mm-hmm. Yes. And how do we need to lay it out in a way that they're finding the key points of information first? So there's a lot to think about. Think about growth in, the stage. Are you going to sell products in the future? Do you need bill pay? Do you need forms? It goes on and on, depending on the business and depending on their needs and their priorities.
Yeah, you mentioned one of the considerations is really how the business runs. So that's one thing that I help on the consulting side with a lot, and you catch that on the website side when you're listening for those conversations. Maybe describe a little bit about some of those pieces that people don't necessarily think about, that actually makes a whole lot of sense, and why you actually need to understand that process in order for it to function as part of your business on a website.
Sure. I guess this could go a number of different ways, but a lot of people, say, I want to sell online, but I don't have anything figured out, like what does shipping look like? What is, what kind of categories do you need to create? Who are you shipping to? Are you shipping, multiple packages?
Invoicing, are you taking payment, or
So you're taking payment.
are you sending an invoice, or
Yeah. And how do you want to do that? What bank do you want to work with?
Mm-hmm.
Things that are outside of the web world even come into play when you're talking about building a website, because, do you need videos on the website, and how are you storing them, and
how you
photos, and how often do you want to change them? Do you want to make it really easy to change them, or do you want to get a little fancier with the design? All of those things.
Yeah. And I would like to preface there, just as you're describing that, I'm thinking from the perspective of a business owner, and especially a new startup that's looking to get in. I don't want to scare anybody, with a lot of these things that you need to consider. I think that's why we feel that it's pretty important that you do utilize a professional website designer when you build your website. There's a number of platforms out there that you can, quote, do it yourself online, and many business owners. I mean, let me be frank. I think if you run a business, then you can do anything. It's challenging to run a business. So if you want to build a website, you can figure it out. There's just going to be a learning curve, and you have to learn how to do it. But paying a trained professional to do that is going to take some of that out of the way. So when you're working with a professional website designer, those are some questions that you want to make sure that are being asked. Fully understand how your business works. It's not just building a landing page and then that's the last you hear from them. It's an involved process. Like you say, lots of learning.
Website builders are tools, right? So it's like, in any other trade, if you're a carpenter, you have the tools. A DIYer has the same tools. Can they do the same job? Sometimes not. So you kind of get into these, where it comes into play is if you hit a block. We've had people come to us who have tried to start it on a free site builder, and then they hit these roadblocks. And they're like, I don't even know where to go because I have this problem, and this is what I actually wanted, and it's not working the way I wanted it to. So, we find that their tools, they're great and it's possible, but if you really want, something specific, and you want to trust the process, and gain insight into best practices and all of that, professional is a good way to go.
Yeah. So for that company that's building a new website, how would you recommend they choose the right platform? There's lots of platforms to build on. We talked about some of the free ones that are out there. How do you decide where to look?
I mean, it's really like shopping for anything else. You lay out what you need, and the specifics and the items that you are not negotiating on, and then sort of see how it lays out. So we build in two different ways. We build on Bootstrap and WordPress for multiple different reasons. So one is primarily coding, everything. The other one is sort of like a builder platform. And so primarily we use WordPress. It's user-friendly. And I've heard some people say, is it user-friendly? Because there's so many different ways to build on WordPress. And it does take a learning curve, but we like to use a front-end builder. So there's different ways that you could build within WordPress. And that allows you to look at the page you're editing, edit it right there. and it makes it easier to edit.
Yeah.
So
And-
storage is a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Back to your question.
Yeah.
If you're storing a lot of images and a lot of files, and we tend to go with a Bootstrap because it's a faster
Faster load times.
load times.
Mhm.
But WordPress is great and usually satisfies a lot of needs.
Yeah. Yeah. So, your discussion there describing, like the front end builder, so that would be an answer to somebody that is looking to do a lot of the maintenance on their own, would like to be able to log in and update pictures or some text here and there. That allows us to be able to train the new business owner or the new website of the new website owner on how to do those kind of simple repairs and I would just say repairs, updates. But whereas with Bootstrap, that process is a little more complicated.
Right. Yeah, because we would be coding it, so all changes would be made by us. A little heftier of a change. But yes, some people really want to make changes themselves, and they want to learn the process, and they want to take ownership of their site. And other people are like, you do it, you stick to it, and
Yeah.
from there. So it's
Yeah, well, I think that's a really important piece to make sure you understand going into this build process, and make sure that the company that you're working with is listening thoroughly to what you want.
Yes.
So if you want to be able to do the updates on your own and make sure that they're going to build the site in a way that you can do that, and then also have a willingness to do some training to teach you how that works and some good practices.
Sure.
Now we do a lot of that, but there's some limitations, right, on what we recommend the business owner to edit, right?
Yes.
And what are some reasons why we recommend only doing some text changes and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, you can get so deep in the website world that there's new things to learn every day, and so some of the bigger changes and updates can go wrong if you're not thinking through backups and all of that. And so we sort of guide people to make sure that they're making image changes, text changes, different things like that, just for their sake, because it could be. It gets trickier, it gets deeper, and so keeping those minimal to easy changes is recommended. And back to your other question real quick. It's important, too, to make sure that whoever is building your website, that you own it after they build it.
Good point.
Because, a lot of website companies, they build it, and then they have the ownership of it, and then you don't. So if you decide that you want to go somewhere else, like, they will not help you take those files and move on because they own them. So that's a big deal. You want to own your website. You want to own the rights to the content and all of that. And it's important.
Yeah. Very, very, very important question to ask. Yeah. So you mentioned the files of the website, right?
Sure.
So I think, most people that don't have an understanding of websites and that kind of thing, say, the average Joe, 75-80% of people that are out there, they don't understand that side of your website. They see you build this website and it's there on your website, and every time you go there, it's just there. Can you describe a little bit about, just as we transition now into more talking about like hosting and domains and maintenance and things like that? What does it mean that a website has files?
Sure. Yeah. And you sort of feel like the web world has its own dictionary of terms, and if you're not in it, you really don't understand all of the intricacies of that. So, working with someone who will break it down and explain it is important. But so every website needs to have a website host. They need to have a domain, and they need to have a host. And those can be with the same people. They can be different. You can buy a domain on really a lot of places. You can buy hosting. We host in-house. Basically, hosting means hosting the files. So if you were to, think of it like moving and you have a storage facility, right? Like you are storing things, you're paying for the storage, you're paying for the security of it. So that's sort of the same idea. Website has files. It allows the website to be up
Be found.
and live. And so hosting is hosting those files so that when they look for the files, they know where to find them. And that allows your website to be live. So hosting the files, security of the files, hosting often can mean backing up the website on a weekly, bi-weekly, monthly basis, to where if there were a change that would go bad, a plugin update, anything like that, those can be brought back up in no time. So making sure that you have a host that is able to do those changes quickly, is making sure everything is maintained and up to date, like keeping a car running. There's just maintenance that you need to do on a website too, to make sure that plugins are updated for WordPress and systems and all of that. So there's some stuff you got to make sure happens.
So I know that there's a lot of times confusion also in the word maintenance. Okay. So you talked about updating plugins and updating WordPress if they use the WordPress site. So talk a little bit about that difference when somebody has a website that needs maintained and updated compared to maybe site updates where there's changes that actually physically need to be made on the website. And how does a website company typically bill for those type of pieces?
Yeah. So maintenance would be the pieces that need maintained on a regular basis. So doing all the updates and making sure the system is running smoothly and has all of the things it needs at that particular time, because everything is getting updated all the time. So, and you have to run those. And then just maintaining your website, in that same word, right? Maintenance, maintaining your website, making changes to your website to make sure that, your staff page is up to date and your content is up to date and you're staying relevant within your business. So there's a number of ways that people bill for it. I'm not even sure that I know all of them, right? Because we've only seen so many, but typically hosting costs are on a monthly or a yearly basis. And they just, as long as your website is live, you pay for hosting. But the, website updates, you can be on a retainer for, making so many changes or so many hours of changes each month or each year. Or you can just kind of clump them together and pay as you go. I have 5 changes to my website, send them all at once and sort of pay that way. So there's a lot of different ways people do it. Some website companies don't even do maintenance on website. They will build it and then it is yours and you own it, and they will host it, but they won't maintain it as far as
when you have something that needs changed.
Make changes on it. So just important questions to ask when you're going into things.
Very, very. Yeah. So to kind of wrap that piece up. So you've got your hosting fees that include basically keeping your files on a secured, protected server.
Yes.
And then making sure that those files are updated.
Yes.
So anytime an app needs or a plugin needs updated on, if you're using WordPress or the WordPress platform itself doesn't update, storing backups, that's your hosting fees. Then there's updates. That's the piece that you can choose to pay as needed or a retainer or something like that, depending on how often those are. So you've got those 2 distinct levels of maintenance there.
Correct.
Yeah. Well, good deal. Well, I would love to kind of move into next. What's next? The website's built, and now how do we make sure that traffic gets there? And understanding that those are 2 different things, right?
Yes.
But before we do that, I'd like to just take a little break. We love doing this product spotlight. So we're just going to take a break, talk about a really cool project we had an opportunity to work on this last year with one of our great long-term customers, great friends, Hall & Hall out west. We were able to help them with the 2023 auction marketing campaign of the year through the National Auction Association. So we'll take a look at some of the print pieces we were able to help them with and just talk through that whole process. So when we come back, we'll keep going.
Last May, we were approached by Hall & Hall, one of our national clients, and they had a property that they wanted to help market in Virginia, and it had a lot of historical significance. This was the Clifton House, and it dates back to the 1700s and actually was owned by George Washington's family. So it was a pretty big deal. It was only about 60 miles from Washington, D.C. And so we did a lot of special design features for this auction. And actually, this marketing campaign won National Auction of the Year last year for Hall & Hall. And so we were pretty excited to have a part in that. We started with actually developing and hand drawing a logo of the actual front of the Clifton House, and then began to choose fonts and a styling that would lend itself to the historical significance of the property. And then we began to build out using professional photography and drone images. We began to build out the big marketing piece that also included custom location maps and also a custom aerial. The property was about 411 acres, and it was right on the border of Virginia and West Virginia. So this is kind of some of the projects that we really get excited about, just because of the vast opportunities of different types of marketing that we do. Graphic design, video, mapping. We help with a lot of the mapping and structure there, and to see that it won an award last year was really exciting.
Welcome back. We hope you enjoyed our project spotlight. We love Hall & Hall. I think their products are always beautiful, and we love working on their projects. We get to do them every year.
Yeah, we get to. I mean, they're incredible. Like you just saw, I mean, we've been friends. Wes and the team go way back, and they've always been a pleasure to work with. They're ones that, you know, they work with the top-notch land properties across the country and have some really neat opportunities with them. Their artwork, their photography and video that we're able to utilize in the marketing pieces actually makes our job pretty easy.
Yeah,
because we get some great things to work with. But yeah, we've had opportunities over the years. I think we're at like 5 of the last 7 marketing campaigns of the year that we've been a part of that. So the auction industry is near and dear to us. We love it. It's kind of our background and kind of how we got started. And of course, we've branched into some other industries here recently over the last 8 years or so. But yeah, they're always a pleasure to work on some marketing competition awards. They're fun. Yeah.
Well, let's jump into, okay, so a website is built, and, you know, we want to get traffic there. We want to get our customers there. So can you talk a little bit about what that looks like and what that process is like?
Yeah. You know, I think a lot of people, when you think about a website, you think of it in terms of an imaginary thing that's just online, right? But I think it's important to understand the fact that it is a piece of your business. This is an entity, a piece of your business. So I like to describe it as a storefront. This is your virtual storefront. If you were to build a new building, brick and mortar, we call them brick and mortar. So you put up a new building, a storefront. That's what you're doing on a website. It's virtual. So you build a new building, you have all of your tools and your services, your processes are all figured out and they're all within your storefront. It's the same thing we have virtually, right? The same thing goes for getting people to your store as it does online. Okay, so that piece is often missed. So when
So
you
wait, it's not just like if you build it, they will come. It doesn't work that way.
it's not.
Okay.
So one thing that you miss, right, that we love, especially in a lot of the real estate projects that we do, right, is location, right? Everyone has the same location when it comes to the website, to your website, right? You're all on the web. Now there's things that we can do to make sure that you're found when people are looking for you. But your brick and mortar store, if you're on the corner of 15 and 30, that's a fantastic location.
Yeah.
And people will see it and people will likely start coming in. But you ultimately need to do some marketing. You need to ask for people to come and do business with you.
Right.
That's the next step, the next piece in this puzzle. And of course, there's a lot of pieces, and we'll get into in other episodes. There's a lot of pieces that connect the two, analytics and data tracking and setting up conversions and making sure we understand what's happening. We'll go into all that at another time. But the advertising of your website is very important. So we call that a number of different things. Online marketing, digital marketing, we call it SEO. It's an overused term, I think. SEO stands for search engine optimization. It's very broad. So I get phone calls almost every single day. Hey, do you guys do SEO? Well, what do you mean by SEO? Because there's a lot of different things, right? So ultimately, what you're doing with SEO, search engine optimization, is you're optimizing your website. So you're taking the finished piece, your website that was just built, and you're optimizing it in a way that that search engines can find you. You make it search engine friendly.
Yeah, because we get that question a lot. My website is online, but when I type in, landscaping in this area, it doesn't come up. And so that's not fully a website problem.
It's not fully a website problem, no. And in the website process, you want to make sure your designer is adding optimization components into your site as the build goes on. It's something you do, depending on the scale and the project scope. If you're a landscape company and you have appropriate content on your website, Google's eventually going to list you. It's just not always going to happen where you want it and as high up in the listings as you want it, or as quickly as you want it. So what the optimization does is it basically we're telling the search engines, and when we say search engine, we'll probably just talk about Google right now. There's many search engines.
They are the king.
But Google's king. Yeah. So most of the time when we're thinking about SEO, we're thinking, what does Google want? Right? And Google actually, if you think about it, Google wants the same thing you and I want as consumers.
Right.
Okay, so we want to find the product or the service that we're looking for.
Sure.
And if we do a Google search and we say, I want, in your example of a landscaper, I want a landscaper near me. And then all of a sudden it pulls up grocery stores.
Right.
Like, wait a second.
Not using that one again.
This search engine is obviously broken. It's not
Right.
giving me what I want, so I'm going to use something else.
Right.
Google wants you there. So they have way too much money and way too many people to allow their platform not to work.
Right. Yeah, they want to be good.
They want to be good. So we hear the word algorithm a lot, and basically it's just the equation that that search engines use to decide whether your website fits the answer to our consumer question when we do a search. Right? So when we say landscaper near me, it goes through its database very quickly. And the database that is actually crawled by other companies. So there's search bots that are out there that are going to crawl the web and understand all the content. When we optimize it, we tell those bots, and we tell the search engines what we want them to know about our company. So we make sure they understand our service areas, the type of services we do. We talk a lot about the word like keywords. You hear that word a lot in the optimization world. Those are some important pieces. So we need to make sure that content on our website is answering those questions that people might be using to search.
Sure.
So that's the kind of the nutshell. A nutshell, is that the right word? Yeah, you know. Yeah.
It's it in a nutshell,
It's
right?
it in a nutshell
Yeah.
when it comes to optimizing a website. So there's lots of different things, processes and steps that can be taken for that very broad term.
Okay, so how do we market online? Like, what our options are? What are our options?
Yeah. Well, what we would love to have happen is the free way, and that's called organic marketing.
Okay.
Organic search results. Okay, so
Also known as natural.
natural. Yep. So think of search, Google search, or any other search engines. Google. Think of Google like your online phone book.
Okay.
Okay, you're listed on there because the bots pull that data in and sell it to the search engines.
Okay.
Right. So your information is listed in there, but it's not categorized. It's not in the right place.
Ugh, sounds like a nightmare.
It's a bit of a nightmare.
Yeah.
And it could be accurate information. It could be inaccurate information. Depends. Say the newspaper writes an article about you, but they accidentally put your phone number in wrong. Well, the bots can pull that content, and then Google assumes that must be correct information.
Sure. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden Google says, wait a second, I have information over here that says your phone number is here, and I have information over here that says your phone number is this.
Yeah.
So which is it? So that actually hurts the algorithm, the trustworthiness factor of that listing.
Yeah,
so
is this
Google will
person
push it
real?
down
What
further.
is their information? That makes
Yeah,
sense.
exactly. So naturally, we want that natural, organic type marketing. We want to just come up for free. When everybody searches landscaper near me, you come up at the top of the list. That takes a lot of time to achieve.
Okay.
As far as period over time. So just as you add new content to your website, as you get more people visiting your website, Google begins to say, okay, well, people must find the information they're looking for here. So we're going to continue to bring that up the list.
Okay.
So that's the first thing. Then you've got paid search. We're on the search side of things here, right? So Google, they love your money. But they do a really good job at making sure you come back, because they make sure that you get people to click on your ad and land on your website. So you pay Google pay per click, PPC. Sometimes it's also referred to as SEM, search engine marketing. And through that, you set up an ad campaign through a professional company like Blue River, or you can also do that on your own. There's some training and things that Google provides. You can set some of that up on your own. But you basically, when you set up that ad campaign, you tell them what services you want to market, what kind of keywords you want to make sure you show up for. When people search for this, I want to make sure I'm there. Sure. And then it's kind of like an auction. It is an auction.
Yeah.
So depending on how competitive the industry is. So using the example we've been using this whole time, landscapers. There's a lot of landscapers in our area.
Yes.
So the more landscapers that are trying to get your clicks when we're searching for them, the more expensive that click becomes.
Gotcha.
So with Google or any other search platform, Bing, Yahoo, and there's definitely reasons to be on those platforms as well, and we'll get into it in another episode. But when you purchase on those platforms, you just set a budget. Say, I want this. I'm willing to spend this much per week or this much per month, and that's where my cap is. And then they give you a ballpark. They say, well, based on that budget, you're going to have between this many and this many clicks. And they don't know yet, because they don't know how many other landscape companies are going to be asking for that same placement.
Right. So
on the rankings.
area matters too, right? Fort Wayne
Oh, boy.
is probably way more expensive than Warsaw, and
It is,
Indy
yeah.
more than Fort Wayne, right?
Yeah. We don't see a whole lot of difference between Warsaw and Fort Wayne,
Okay.
because they're still pretty close. But when you look at like Fort Wayne area compared to Indianapolis or Chicago or New York, and we have clients all over the country that market in different places, and we even have local clients that market in those other areas. But yeah, the value on that click goes way up.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, good question. And then you've got another side of that is through display marketing, which is also something that Google does and is available on other platforms as well. But again, when we think marketing or online opportunities, we think Google. So Google Display Network is a series of ads that are available for purchase on ABC website. So you think of like these big national websites that you think, man, it would cost a lot of money for me to put my ad on this website so people want to see it. They'll click through it to mine. You think of ones like Cabela's. You know, if you're marketing outdoor, if you're an outdoor company and marketing, you know, those kind of things, you want to target the people that are there. You think of like national news publications or ESPN, like sports and things, the weather channel. And you mentioned app. Yeah. So it goes on to devices of all different types, right? So it's not just websites, they're apps. So you can purchase ads there to drive traffic to your website. And then there's social media marketing, right? So, you know, that's a whole other can of worms also that we will talk about in another episode. But you got your social media marketing that you're through all of your content, you want to be driving them to your website. And that's an important thing that I think is missed often, is that when you're putting together content for social media, you want to put together engaging content that people will like, but you really have to have a goal. You want to make sure that you're doing this for a reason. You're not just doing it to put content up and to get likes, but you're actually doing it to earn business.
Yeah.
So
because
you need to send
clicks
somewhere.
off-site help with natural.
It does.
Traffic.
Exactly. Back to that original natural / organic search results. Yeah, you want that's one of the biggest deciding factors, right? Google says, hey, there's a lot of people landing on this website and they're spending a lot of time there. It must mean that it's content that they want to see.
Right.
Yeah, so they'll show it more often. So I would say that's the majority of what's there. Of course, we didn't talk about video and some other things, other targeting practices online. But ultimately, when you build that website, you have to ask people to come. Just like when you build a new business, a new storefront, you need to ask people to come.
Right.
So you'll have some natural stuff that shows up. But not only are you asking people to come, you need to tell the listing providers where you are.
Yeah.
How to find you.
Yeah, so important.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything else we want to go over?
I think it's probably good for today. Like I said, I think that the what's next component and the marketing of websites can be multiple episodes, and we talk about what people should be considering and what they should look at there. I would say, the number one thing to think about when you're building a website is find somebody that cares and wants to listen.
Yes,
right?
Absolutely, because it's so custom, it's so tailored. Even with digital marketing, everybody has different needs and a different budget, and find someone who's gonna work with that and figure out exactly what's gonna give you the most bang for your buck, because it's important to choose the correct things for what you need. Yeah.
Well, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining us on another episode of the Marketing Compass. You were great. You were great, Jen. Can't wait to have you on again here. Maybe we'll bring Alec in next time too, for some just entertainment type purposes.
There you go.
So I just want to put it out there. If anyone is eager to talk to Jen or our team in general more about how we might be able to help you, or just if you have generalized questions, we want to help. So probably the best way to reach out to us is just go to our website at blueriverd.com and check out there. You can browse the website for valuable resources. You can fill out a form and ask for some help. You can call us from there. But just to learn more about us and get in contact with us a little easier. And then we just want to thank you guys for tuning in. If you wouldn't mind, please like and subscribe. at all of the main podcast platforms out there. That'll really help us making sure that we're doing the right things and answering questions that you might have. And I just want to encourage you today that you can do this, and we're in your corner.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you have ideas for podcasts or things you want to learn, shoot them our way because, we care.
Yeah. Thanks. Have a great day.